Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a very grand episode of Grandstand Gurus, the number one sports podcast on the Explosion Network. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jack Kruse. I'm joined this week by Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Jack, it's grand final week.
Yes, it certainly is. Kieran Marchant.
Hey, Jack, it's grand final week.
It certainly is. And special guest, Review Culture's Buddy Watson. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, Jack, it's grand final week?
It's grand final week. You heard that right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is grand final week. It is AFL, NRL. It is my favourite week of the year. It is so much going on. What an amazing weekend of sport we had. It's just, we have so much to get through. This is going to be a jam-packed episode. So strap in and get ready for some guru magic. Guys, wowee, boy oh boy, what a weekend we had. The results went ways we hoped they would go. I guess we thought they would go. Well, I didn't want Geelong to get in. You know what I love most about this? We have two teams in the grand final who neither have been in a grand final for 20 plus years. Or nearly 19 years for Adelaide, 35 or something ridiculous for Richmond. It's how good, like, it's just awesome. Like, it's not Geelong, It's not Hawthorn, it's not Sydney, it's not, a team who's been in recently. We've got fresh teams in, it's a fresh vibe, it's just amazing. And then the Stormers, mighty Melbourne Storm.
A stat I heard this week about the AFL is there's not a single player on either team that have played in a grand final before.
Yeah.
That's like the first time since the first grand final.
No, it was
first AFL grand final, maybe?
1918, I think they said, or something like that, was the last time that no player on either team had played in a grand final previously.
That's amazing.
Mental.
Watch out, Roosters. There's a hurricane coming through.
I think I could sum up this weekend's results for AFL and NRL in one sentence, and that's stuff you Sydney teams. So, yeehaw.
Yeah. Yeehaw. Yes, absolutely.
It's all the first time. That's another stat. It's like the first time since there hasn't been a Sydney team in either code, correct? It's like the first time in a very long time.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. I hear Sydney teams are alright at that NRL.
Oh, they're actually not.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Not this year.
No.
The commentators would make me believe otherwise.
Of course.
Mate, like I said, we've got so much to get through. Let's kick it off like we normally do. Ashley, what was your highlight from the weekend?
Easily the Cowboys winning over the Roosters. The one close match this weekend. The Cowboys, they should not be in the grand final. I mean, they finished 8th. They scraped in because who was it?
Canterbury Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs beat the Dragons.
That's right.
They got gifted a lifeline. So for them to be in the grand final now, it's pretty crazy.
They've got guns. How could they not be in the grand final?
Oh, no, stop.
My logic works out, people.
Yeah, absolutely. Kieran, what about you?
It's not either code related, but the talk around the almost certain Nick Diaz versus Conor McGregor for December 30th news was pretty great. There's been a verbal confirmation, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, right. Very good. That's 2 weeks in a row. Announcements have been your highlight.
I know, and it's both UFC related because UFC has been kind of crap lately. So
yeah, they've been lighting it up. So we've got some good cards coming up though. So
give me them announcements.
Yep, absolutely, buddy. Your highlight.
I don't want to steal the same one as Ash, but I'm going to go the performances of the two players this round from the NRL, and that was Jason Taumalolo, who's like single-handedly spearheading the Cowboys charge. He's just making over 200 metres a game, and he's like the best forward in the game at the moment. He's just killing it. And then Billy Slater scored 2 tries against my Broncos on Friday night to become the second greatest try scorer of all time. And he's my favourite player, so I was pretty happy for him, especially after missing the last 2 years. So even though it was a highlight against my own team, that was probably my highlight of the week.
I believe it's pronounced Silly Blater. Just correcting you there. All
right, I'm sorry. I'll do better
right.
later on.
It's your favourite player. It's just getting it right. Well,
and what about yourself, Jack?
Oh dear. My highlight, I was going to go with Aaron Finch making a ton on return in the one-day game against India, but they stuffed that up by their horrible.
Well, it was just like a sense of defeat, and then a sense of you knowing it was a sense of defeat on top of defeat.
Oh God, we're gonna look cricket. We're gonna get into cricket in a couple of weeks after this week, and I don't even want to talk about the Aussie cricket team at the moment because they just keep breaking my heart. But my highlight was the game on Saturday, the Richmond GWS game. It was just the energy. Like, it was just unreal. The noise was incredible. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. 94,000 people there, and probably 93,500 of them were Richmond supporters. It was absolutely incredible. I found it going into that game. Like, you guys know how much I hate GWS, and that game started, and I'm like, I can't barrack for Richmond. Like, I wasn't barracking for GWS, but I'm like, I can't want Richmond to win. And then in the last 10 minutes when they had it wrapped up and it was sort of party time, that was when I was sort of like, okay, I can allow myself to enjoy this for the Richmond people. And it was, we got that probably in the last 5 minutes of the grand final last year, the Doggies. We didn't get it in the prelim because it was such a nail-biting game, but that sort of euphoric feeling that they would have had knowing that they're about to go into a grand final and waiting for the siren would have been pretty incredible. And I felt the energy. And but did we have some interesting things come out of that game, which we'll kick into right now. So no topics this week. The topic is grand final week, and we will be covering all of the happenings from the last, 4 or 5 days. Obviously, we know it'll be Adelaide and Richmond in the grand final. First thing I want to talk about is the Trent Cotchin situation.
Guilty.
So, if you didn't know, in the game against GWS on the weekend, Trent Cotchin went in low to attack a ball, caught Dylan Shield, GWS player, high with a bump. GWS player Dylan Shield subsequently was concussed, wasn't able to play the rest of the game after quarter time, and it went to the match review panel. The feeling behind it was that Cotchin would be suspended based on everything that we know about AFL, the rules, the match review panel, the AFL, other incidents this year where players have been suspended, notably probably the most controversial one, which we've spoken about before on this show, is the Patrick Dangerfield suspension, along with many others. He obviously was let off by the match review panel. I did not expect that. I expected him to be cited, at the very least, a fine. Which would have
rubbed him out. Yeah.
Which would have rubbed him out. So obviously, in the AFL, they have a 3-strike system as far as for minor incidents. So if you don't get suspended if you punch someone, if you give someone a jumper punch, you get a $1,000 fine. But if you get 3 of those fines in a season, you miss a week. And so Trent Cotchin had 2 prior incidents. One was a jumper punch where he decked a guy, and one was a gut punch where he decked a guy. Fully intentional, fully reportable offences, 100% guilty, no question about it for those ones. The event on the weekend... Yeah, sure.
So if he has the 2, can he, say, jumper punch someone, around 20, knowing that his next jumper punch will rub him out? Does he start over again, or...?
Yeah, so you go back to... Yeah, so if he did that in round 20, yeah.
So he should have done that,
round
something like that in
But
regular season,
then I guess
right?
you risk, I guess, going into a final without your captain losing your game or something like that. So I guess you don't want to... It's an interesting thought, but I don't think...
Because some soccer teams originally, they go out and they get a card purposely.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. But we play a real game over here. Anyway, so I expected him to... fully expected him to be suspended, rightfully so, based on the rules of the game. Not what I wanted to see happen, because I actually really like Trent Cotchin. I think he's a great character. I think he's a great captain. I think he's a fantastic player. The only thing I don't like about him is he can do those things sometimes, the little jumper punches, the little ticky touch, soft, like cheap shots. is how I describe him. But that act on the weekend, you don't want to see a bloke miss a grand final for that. And unless you're probably an Adelaide supporter or a GWS supporter. If you're one of 30 GWS supporters in the world, you probably would want him to see him be suspended. Nevertheless, Cotchin was let off. I was actually really disappointed he got let off because I thought, wow, this is going to be fantastic content for Grandstand Gurus. But so we can't really... So, I mean, the decision's been made. He's playing. But what do we all think about the incident? Did you think he should have been suspended? Do you think he should have been let off?
If he did it during the regular season, he would have been...
Any other week.
He would have had a week,
Yeah.
Any other week of the year, he would have been gone. I also think... I think the only thing... I think what saved him was nothing to do with that incident. It was the fact that somebody came along and pointed out that there was the incident with... was it Ashbury, 10 minutes later?
Yeah.
Somebody came out and pointed that out, and
yeah.
So that puts a little bit of doubt because you can't tell exactly when...
Because he did play on,
concussion
yeah.
happened.
He was delayed.
Yeah, they said it was a delayed concussion.
Another 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, but he did play for another... And then he was hit in the head later in the quarter, so you could have made that argument. Yeah.
So there was nothing conclusive about when the concussion happened, and if it hadn't been for the concussion, he would have gotten away with that hit. I think the concussion made it more complex. It's so hard because even watching that game, it made me think about our previous topic about AFL captains, where we went through and rated them all. And I wanted to instantly, watching that GWS game, I almost wanted to give Trent Cotchin a 10 instead, because in that game, he was everywhere.
He won them that game. He won them that game.
Yeah.
He's in defense when he needed them. He was in forward when he needed. It was crazy, his overall positioning in the game. But I don't know, any other week.
Yeah.
Any other week, and he was gone. And I feel it. I don't want to say this. This is not recorded content.
Kind of is.
I feel really sorry for Patrick Dangerfield. I feel super sorry for him after this week because I think Dangerfield was almost used as a bit of a probably a bit of a show that to say, hey, we don't care who you are, you're gonna get.
Yeah, it was a yardstick.
Fined on the MRP. Yeah, it was like you could be Dangerfield, you could be Gary Ablett. If you come to the MRP and you've done something wrong, you'll get the book thrown at you, which is a good message until this week when it puts it back into question again that, Trent Cotchin that probably should have got a week and missed the grand final, but they didn't want to ruin the story that was the grand final. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't know, something like for this situation, so that kind of thing doesn't come into it. Would it be would it be a bad idea to be like, all right, you've got a suspension of this long, but because you got the grand final, we're not going to let it take effect until next year?
No.
And it takes effect for the first...
No, because if someone goes out in the prelim final and knocks someone out,
true.
That's fair enough. They need to be rubbed out.
And the years previous as well. It's not fair for the players that have already been suspended.
It's not fair for the people from the previous years, Jack.
We've had this argument before. Change is bad, MK, because the people in the past didn't get it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
I was torn on this. I looking at the incident, I thought, as far as the rules go, he should be let off. He should be suspended. He should not be let off. He's bumped when he's elected to bump. He tucked the shoulder. He hit a guy in the head. Guy was concussed. Whether or not it was concussed in that incident is debatable. But he bumped and the guy went off. And and if he hadn't have done those two other things in the year, it would have been no issue. He would have got a fine and he would have played. But what got me was the two incidents earlier in the year, which were deliberate cheap shots that he punched dudes, and because of those, he would need to wear that responsibility. Now, he was let off. Had he been suspended, my argument would have been the AFL change rules on a whim. Any little incident, anything, they change it. We've had so many incidents over the years. Any tiny little thing, two guys are on the field, too many people, interchange thing. Guy slides in, guy gets injured, no more sliding. We've seen it so much. Guy gets bumped, no more bumps, no more sling tackles. Every time there's an incident, they change something. This could have been a flashpoint, a chance for the AFL to go, you know what? We change rules a lot. We change the playing field basically as we see fit as the game evolves. Because we do have a very dynamic game in AFL, and it is always changing, it's always evolving. So they do need to change it up on the fly. They could have, had he been suspended, or in this situation, gone, you know what? We're changing this rule. We're drawing a line in the sand. A bump like that is not eligible for a suspension. And they could have completely changed it up. Now, that would have been a really big move and controversial move, but I think it would have gained a lot of... I mean, it would have divided the country, no doubt. This decision is going to divide people no matter what. But it would have been a really interesting thing for them to do, to go, okay, you know what? We don't want this guy to miss a grand final. We don't want a captain to miss a grand final. So, we're changing this rule now. We change rules for every other situation. What's the difference between changing a rule now?
Yeah, I think the only people who would have supported that move are the Richmond supporters.
Actually,
I would have been for it.
I would be more in favour of that.
Yeah.
Because
to change it before the grand final.
No, I'd be more in favour of that just because what really got under my skin and what really frustrated me Monday morning was when I read the MRP report and it said, the MRP has deemed that this is not a offence because Trent Cotchin was clearly going for the ball.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. And I was like, that's ridiculous. How is that a statement?
Yeah.
Like, how is that...
Exactly right.
I think they kind of have changed the rule. Sorry,
no, but
they
didn't.
kind of have changed the rule. Yeah.
Well, they haven't, though, because they've just basically turned a blind eye to this incident. So from what their report said, the reason they didn't cite him was based on, it's almost like they didn't watch the incident. And you can watch it from many different angles and you go, yeah, he tucked, he wasn't going at the ball, he elected to bump, he didn't have his arms out to attack the ball, but they said he was at the line of the ball, he was attacking the ball. I guess they lied, that's as simple as it is. They've fudged it, they've, turned a blind eye. Sorry, say again?
Misinterpreted it.
Whatever you want to call it.
and that's
now,
the term that will get us in the least trouble.
and now the integrity of the match review panel, what happens next? So many people, I've been listening to radio nonstop the last 2 days, so many people calling up and going, these guys are mugs, where's the integrity? Why now is it just go out the window as far as... I think what the more integral thing that they could have done was come out and go, you know what? This is a report. As far as the rules go right this second, this is a reportable incident. He will be suspended under these rules. However, we are changing the rules. And going forward, this will not be considered, from today's date, this will not be considered a reportable offence, and he's free to play. He has no case to answer. And draw a line in the sand and go, okay, we're going to allow the physicality back into this game. That is a 50-50 line. That is a line ball bump. Because you can argue that it was, incidental, accidental, whatever. He didn't line him up, you know what I mean? He didn't run straight in. You could argue he was going for the ball at the last second. He tucked to protect himself and bumped him. But he did choose to bump. But he did that to protect himself. You can change the rule, the verbiage of the rule to go, in that situation like that, that is not reportable. Because he was attacking the ball at the very last second. He braced to protect himself. Incidental contact, player injured, play on. People are going to get hurt. It's a contact sport. Nothing you can do about it. We don't need to suspend someone every time somebody gets hurt. That to me would have garnered a lot more respect from the public than the MRP coming out and going, no case, free to go. Because as far as the rules are concerned, and like Kieran said, feel bad for Patrick Dangerfield, could have cost him a Brownlow. Very well, nearly did. I think that would have garnered a lot more respect than what they actually went with.
I thought it would have been the complete opposite, Because if they come back and say, oh, well, it's the week before a grand final, we're going to change this rule. It's like, well, when else are you going to change rules? And for me, the whole game would lose integrity instead of just the match review panel, which I think at least they can, we viewed this incident, but we deemed it not to be. At least there's a case there, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, instead of, we're just going to change the rule, kind of. That's the way I see it. The whole game would lose integrity instead of just the match review panel.
Rule changes for an AFL is a norm now. Rule changes happens more frequently than in any other sport I believe I've been a part of or I've supported, really. And that's because AFL, in terms of history, is in its infancy still.
Is that the week
very
before the grand
public.
final, though? Like, would you do that the week before a grand final?
Um,
Because NRL has changed
it's a
rules
tough
mid-season
situation.
as well.
It's a tough situation. No matter what you do, you're in trouble. No matter what you do, there's somebody going to be angry.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's going to be.
But at least I would have more respect for the match review panel for doing it, for being honest, being open, and saying this is what the go is, rather than not do that and say it wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem. It's like, come on, guys, is this really what you think?
Yeah, it's definitely, and like, no doubt, if they do something like what I'm suggesting, it would be very problematic. It would divide the nation like this decision had. But for me personally, I would respect them a lot more for doing that than what they've actually done, where they've gone, no case to answer, no way.
Yep.
Just in my humble opinion.
As with a lot of things this season of like background and media news, anticlimactic. Anticlimactic.
I know, right? It would have made for good content if we
It's
had
like it would have made. It was just they built it up, and then MRP says, "Don't worry about it." Josh Kelly might be leaving GWF. Nah, don't worry about it. Dustin Martin might be leaving Richmond. Don't worry about it. It's not. It's like just stop. Stop building things up.
Gary Ablett wants to leave the Suns. Hang on a minute.
Oh, God. Anyway, that leads us into our next topic. Great segue, buddy. Today, finally, the hullabaloo, the brouhaha, it's all out there now. Gary Ablett has requested to be traded back to Geelong. Now,
The worst kept secret.
this annoys me. This man annoys me. Gary Ablett, I have minuscule respect for Gary Ablett, which is so junior, which is so hard to say because he could be considered and is considered by many to be one of, if not the greatest player to ever play the game. However,
he is one of the best of the modern era.
However, what could have been a one-club champion. He could have played for Geelong and taken $1 million a year there and played his career out there and been a champion and been a multiple premiership player and probably won multiple Brownlows playing out of Geelong and been much happier. However, he took that deal. He went to Gold Coast. He took the $2 million plus a year for the first few years and then the $1 million plus for the subsequent years. And now the club's in a struggling position. He wants to walk out. His conduct over the last 12 months has been, as far as I'm concerned, disgraceful. Choosing not to travel when the team goes interstate, picking and choosing when he wants to train, when he wants to play, not playing if he's under any, or not training or playing or anything if there's any kind of niggle or anything. And now he turns around to this club that's given him the last 7 years of. And they've looked after him. Like, it's not like he's been there, on a low pay to help them. Like, he's been well looked after.
My favourite point: he just won their best and fairest.
Exactly. And now he wants out. I'm just really disappointed in him as far as just as a man. Like, what kind of way is that to carry yourself? And I don't understand the people who are saying, "Oh, this is great, Ablett back to Geelong." I really think it's crap. Like, he should be playing out his days at the Suns. He committed to them. He didn't have to re-sign last year, but he did. And then at the end of that year, he wants out, and now he wants out. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
I echo your thoughts. But I look at this from Geelong's point of view. Why would Geelong go through all this effort for him currently? Because they're only going to give him, a 1 or 2 year contract at most.
2 years. He's probably got 2 good years left in him.
He's got 2 good years in him. But is Gary Ablett the missing piece of the puzzle that's going to help Geelong win now? Believe it or not, Geelong is not in a rebuild. They need to win a premiership in the next 2 to 3 years. Like, next 1 or 2 years, they need to win. Like, Joel Selwood's 29. Patrick Danforth's 27. Like, they're older players. They're getting older. They need to start getting ready to win a premiership. So, Is Gary Ablett and the rigmarole they're going to have to go through to get him? Is that worth it? Is it worth it for them?
Is it worth getting him for 2 years though, and then possibly keeping him on as like coaching staff, like a kicking coach or something like that? Is there value to the club by having him for let's give him the swan song, the fans want it. He can come in and at least like mentor some of these younger players as we kind of get out of our window. Can he fill that role and then possibly coach afterwards? Or is there no value in that?
I think there is. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't think he'll want to though. I think he'll retire and fade away into obscurity, much like his old man did. But because he's just that kind of personality, he's not the media. He doesn't crave that sort of spotlight. He sort of just wants to go about his business and take his paycheck and go home. The thought of Gary Ablett in a forward line with Tom Hawkins and Daniel Menzel and Motlop if they stay, and if they can get Jake Stringer, and then they're going after Devon Smith as well. I don't know how they're going to fit all these players in for one, but that is a scary thought. And then Patrick Dangerfield. Imagine a forward line where you've got Tom Hawkins, you've got Harry Taylor pinch hitting, you've got Gary Ablett in a pocket, you've got Jake Stringer in another pocket, and you've got Patrick Dangerfield pinch hitting as well, resting forward. That is a scary proposition for any AFL team.
Because you never know where Patrick Dangerfield's going to play. He might play in the midfield. He might play forward. He might play in the coach's box. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as he's not playing in a press conference.
So as far as like value add to their team, absolutely. Ablett is you'd be silly not to want him there. But the whole thing to me, it stinks. The whole thing just stinks.
But Geelong's in a rebuild, and how many games is Gary Ablett really going to play next year?
Where did you get that information from, Ash? You are on the pulse. You are finger on the pulse of this rebuild.
If he plays 15 to 20 games, I think it's a success for them. Whether or not he can or not, I think he probably commits slightly harder to them if he's at Geelong. I think he trains harder. I think he's more committed to his rehab. Also, if Geelong are going to take him back, like he wants to go to Geelong, like it's his decision. It's not them going and chasing him. They're taking him back from a romantic point of view, and also he's going to add value to their team, obviously. But he needs to toe the line. If they're going to throw him a lifeline,
Geelong's actually committed to bringing him back, or is it just he wants to go back?
They haven't publicly, but they will. They will say it's still very. They've only just recently lost a prelim, so they'll come out next week. He needs to toe the line. If they're going to give him an opportunity to come home, he needs to train when they ask him to train. He needs to travel when they ask him to travel. He needs to play. He needs to do what the medicos ask him. He can't pull the crap that he's been pulling on the Gold Coast for the last 3 or 4 years and run his own show. He needs to toe the line. He's not going to get away with that. When
I think
Joel
he will,
Selwood
though.
is.
I think he
I
will.
don't think he will. You think he will?
Yeah, because obviously he's not happy where he is at the moment, and he's in an environment that's not kind of,
Do you think he'll toe the line, or do you think he'll get away with it?
No, I think he'll toe the line. I think he'll step up. Like he has obviously said he wants
to
to go back for family reasons. He's not enjoying it up in the Gold Coast. And I think like Gold Coast are debating like, we'll sort something out. We don't want to get rid of him because he's kind of threatening them with retirement. They've got to look at it as well. Like he came to them and they were nothing. They were a startup franchise. He took the big money and everything, but he still helped them. He didn't have to come. He could have, like you said, he could have stayed there. So he's still done good service for them. So even though he's had a bad year this year, like with the training, I don't know, all that other stuff, doing Jared Hayne-like things. But I think he'll switch it around if he goes back to Geelong.
I would hope so. I would hope that he can, and he can turn the perception. Because I used to love Ablett. I used to marvel at him. I used to go, he's the kind of player that I would go to the footy just to watch if my team wasn't playing. But nowadays, I'm like, I just have lost so much respect for him, the way he's carried on the last few years, that I hope that he can turn it around. I hope if he gets to Geelong, they get that deal done, that he can turn it around. I don't know how Geelong are going to get Ablett, Stringer, and Devon Smith. I don't know how they fit them all in. One, they haven't got anything to trade with because their first pick is pick 20. Second of all, their salary cap is like stretched.
Well, they've already said that. I think the heads on the chopping block or the heads on the trade table for them are Motlop, Menzel, Lang.
But none of those do. I mean, Mackie and Lonergan have retired, but they wouldn't have been on massive dollars. Menzel's would be on $100,000 a year. Motlop would be on 300, 400. Lang would be on $100,000. Like, these guys aren't pulling big bucks. So it's not like these, trading out those players and losing Mackie and Lonergan. Mackie and Lonergan are on the were on the veterans list anyway. So they're part of their salary is not included in the cap.
I don't think he's worth what they're going to have to give up for him.
Ablett?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Gold Coast are going to want a player. Gold Coast are going to say, they're going to either ask for Daniel Menzel or they're going to ask for Stephen Motlop.
Yeah,
they're not going to take Darcy Lang for him.
No. They're going to ask for a player, but I don't... Like, the CEO's already come out from Gold Coast and said, hey, if you want this player, you're going to have to jump through our hoops. We're going to set some bars and you're going to need to match them, because if you don't, you're not having him. And for that club, I don't believe it's worth it. I think in the long run, it's the same as how I felt last year with the Jaeger Amira trade deal. And I still feel it. I have a little bit more hope now, but I don't think what we gave up for Jaeger Amira was worth what we got. So
No, most definitely not. Anyway, moving on from the Ablett fiasco, the hullabaloo, the brouhaha. Now, announced today, and we'll just touch on this briefly, the two players who have been selected by their clubs to present the Premiership Cup, Matthew Richardson and Mark Bickley. Inspired choices, I think.
I think they're both great. They're both fantastic.
Absolutely. Mark Bickley, obviously Adelaide's only Premiership captain, 97-98. Richo, a much-loved, son. And you often see in these situations, they pick, like last year it was... John Schultz presented the cup to the Bulldogs, and it's always like an older player and that kind of thing. I think it's great they've picked, and obviously Adelaide being a younger club, they could have easily picked like an old Sandful, Sturt, player, but they picked their Premiership captain. But I love the fact that the Richmond have gone with Richo. I think that the idea, the vision of Matthew Richardson handing over the Premiership Cup to Trent Cotchin and Damien Hardwick on Saturday, like that to me is like, that will be awesome. That would be an awesome moment, for a much loved son. So I think inspired choices. What did you guys think?
Yeah,
I loved them both. They're good. They're great picks.
I don't know who the other guy is, but I know who Richardson is, because from someone who doesn't watch AFL, but I know who Richardson, like Mark Richardson. Is it Mark?
Matt.
I know who he is. He's got the long locks. You see him, like, Richmond's a struggling club in the AFL, but you always see him like at the fore kicking goals, or always him, standing up for them. Like, oh yeah, good for him. I wish you played. You probably deserve to play for a better club. But
it's an interesting thought.
Now, if they can only replace James Hird handing over the Norm Smith medal, or whatever it is,
God, that's gonna be.
It'll be a great day for everybody.
Will he be booed?
Yes.
Will James Hird be booed? I'd probably boo if I was there.
Probably.
Although, if I was, I have a feeling if Richmond win, I mean, I think they boo. I think they boo anyway. I think they're going to boo. They're just going to be so like adrenaline pumping, and James Hird gets up there. It's going to be
I'm worried about how empty that stadium's going to be if Richmond lose.
No, teams are generally pretty good at hanging around after a grand final. Like its supporters are.
If it goes the same way as pretty much every other game this final series, and it's a bit
every other game
towards the end.
Adelaide, every game versus Adelaide, it's not going to be pretty.
They'll be out by 3/4 time.
Yeah. Well, let's we'll touch on that a bit later. I want to move on to there's another little brouhaha, the clash jumper situation. KB Kevin Bartlett has been actually scratching his head. Has been flying the flag, so to speak, for the Richmond Football Club this week around the fact that they've been told that they will be wearing their clash jumper. So their traditional jumper, which is the black with the yellow sash.
Yeah.
They've been told they have to wear the yellow jumper with the black sash, which is their clash jumper, because apparently the AFL is saying that their jumper clashes with Adelaide's. Where do you guys fall on this one?
Yes, it does clash. They should wear the yellow. Adelaide finished top of the table. They deserve to wear whatever jersey they want. Let's move on.
I actually agree with you. I agree with that.
Case closed. Wrap it up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us this week. So you actually think there's a clash, Kieran? Do you think there's a clash?
I think there's a clash in terms. I think it's the right decision, but at the same time, it's kind of a bit sucky because Richmond's going to be at their home ground for the MCG. So I don't know.
Budwa?
Yeah, I think there's a clash. There's plenty of NRL grand finals where teams have worn away jerseys or whatever just because there's a clash and no one really cares about it. Broncos chose to wear their kind of away jersey 2 years ago. New Zealand Warriors wore their all-white jersey when they played Manly. Like, you just get on with it. Who cares?
Yeah. I think there is a clash only very slightly.
They're both very dark colours, so...
Yeah, which I think is what gets them is that there is.
You should be the one in most support. Weren't you complaining about blue referees a couple of weeks ago?
Speaking about blue referees, announced today the AFL Grand Final umpires will be wearing blue again.
Well, they should be. I'll tell you what, if they were in lime green, I would have bloody flipped my lid. I think there is a clash slightly. I think it's the darker jumpers with the bits and pieces of yellow, which makes it... I don't think it's as bad as like when the Bulldogs play West Coast in West Coast traditional and our blue. That is just terrible, and you cannot tell them apart. But I can sympathise with the Richmond faithful, because if we being the Bulldogs had to play a grand final in our white clash jumper, oh no, I would not be one happy boy at all. I would not be happy.
Why does it matter though? Why does it matter?
No. If you made the grand final this year and you had to wear the white, would you care as much?
No.
Is it because they haven't played in a grand final for how many years?
Yeah, so if last year... This is the thing, right? If it was Hawthorn and they had to wear a clutch jumper, you go, yeah, whatever. You've played in the last 17 grand finals. You'll be right.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. Kick us off our mountaintop and then tell us.
For last year, right? It's been, 50, whatever, however many years. Don't do that. I'm so glad this is an audio podcast. If we hadn't been in a grand final for 60 years and and we had to wear that, like I would have been filthy. I would have been not pleased at all, because it's you don't know when you're going to get that opportunity again. If you want to be in your traditional strip, and I think Richmond, I understand, I can sympathise with the Richmond. It's been so long, it's been 35 odd years since they've played in a grand final and they've been made to wear that yellow thing with the... I'd be pissed as well. I'd be upset. I would want... there's a vast majority... Let's be clear. There's a vast majority of Richmond people who are they don't care. I'm just happy to be in a grand final. The club is saying we don't care. We're just happy to be in the grand final. But there is a vocal part of the Richmond faithful who are, I think, justifiably upset that they have to wear a clash jumper. I would be upset as well. And the thing that gets me, when in 2014, when Hawthorn played West Coast, now, West Coast finished higher on the ladder than Hawthorn. And the AFL said, and I quote, and this isn't a direct quote, so I don't quote, but they said, it's not about who finishes higher on the ladder. And this was only 3 years ago, remember. It is not about who finishes higher on the ladder. It is at our discretion who wears what jumper. And we are choosing Hawthorn to wear their traditional jumper, not their weird Power Ranger jumper. So they made that decision. They made West Coast wear their Clash jumper. It had nothing to do with that. And now 3 years later, all of a sudden, there's this rule that it's whoever finishes higher on the ladder. Now, that's where I go, why is this now? What is this now? Why one West Coast finished higher on the ladder? They don't get to wear their traditional jumper, Hawthorn do. But now, you're making Richmond wear their Clash jumper because Adelaide finished higher. So I feel like there's something else. There's some other motive to this.
You got to remember, though, AFL's a dynamic game. They're changing rules every week, so they can just change.
Well, it was just last week. Gillan McLaughlin was floating the idea of a coin toss to decide who was going to wear that.
Yeah,
they could televise it. They could put it on Fox Footy. It could be an hour-long show. There's a build-up. There's a preview of who's won the coin tosses.
They weigh the coin. They have the weigh-in. They have a press conference with the actual coin.
Is it best of 3?
All coin tosses.
Is it best 2 out of 3? Is it rock, paper, scissors? They should have done.
I think it's fair on Adelaide, though, a little bit, because not just because they finished up. I think Adelaide's going to be, in terms of the day, Adelaide's going to be at a disadvantage.
Because they're playing on Richmond's home ground.
Because they're playing on Richmond's home turf. From the evidence of the last 2 games Richmond's played in finals at MCG, that crowd's going to be 95% Richmond. So I think it gives them a little. I don't know. It's in that terms. I think it's a little fair that Adelaide get to do that, keep their home strip.
Do you think it's going to be 95% Richmond?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Because a lot of tickets are sold earlier in the year through like grand final packages. And
Yeah.
things.
So
And then Adelaide would have their allotment as well, I would imagine.
Yeah. So the way that it's broken up is there's 15,000 tickets for the members each. So they 15, I believe, and this was. I believe these were the numbers last year, so they may have changed. I may be wrong. I don't know. But last year it was 15,000 per club for their members, and then you've got, I think it's 15,000 for AFL members, like the Platinum AFL members, and then you've got the MCC, and the rest is corporate. So, and it's 50-50, right? So the corporate will probably be predominantly Richmond people or people. They get corporate tickets. They give them to who can we give it? We'll give them to our customers who are Richmond people. So they will probably be more Richmond people at the grand final. Like last year, there was definitely more Bulldogs people at the grand final than there were Sydney people because it's a Melbourne team. The people in Melbourne who have the corporate access, and that's the thing. That's the frustrating thing about the grand finals is it's dominant. 50% of the crowd is corporate, and then the other 50% is AFL members, MCC, and club members, and so. It'll definitely be majority Richmond. I don't think by much. It might be like 60-40, and then and it might only be 40 or 30,000 Richmond supporters, 20,000 Adelaide supporters, and the rest neutral corporates. It's sort of hard to say, but I think like I said, I think there's something else at play here with the Clash jumper. I feel like there's something else to it. I heard something mentioned today about Rebel Sport needs to move some stock or something like that. They've got a few extra of the Richmond Clash jumpers, which will obviously sell.
That's a rumor I can get behind.
Yeah.
Put your tinfoil hats on, people.
So yeah, get your tinfoil hats on. So yeah, but that was a very interesting one. So, but I do think there's a clash, so I think it's fair enough that one of the teams has to wear a Clash jumper. I feel for Richmond having to wear that yellow thing, but I'm sure that the majority of the people are just happy to be in the grand final.
But do you think Adelaide, who finished higher on the ladder, should get their home jersey? It's just that one anomaly.
If that was the rule forever, would you be okay with it?
That it's the higher team?
Yep.
No, because that leaves the door open for one day the Bulldogs having to wear their Clash jerseys.
Don't worry, Jack. Don't worry, Jack. They're never making a grand final again, so you won't have to.
Who invited this guy on?
You're not getting invited back.
Who invited this guy on?
Look who's getting flogged on this week.
Yeah, adding him to the list.
Throw me in for the list.
Alrighty. Okay, now moving on quickly to last night's fiasco that was the Brownlow Medal. What a night that was. It was, tipped widely to be a complete and utter blowout as far as Dustin Martin's going to win it by a country mile. No one's going to get close to him. But it was a lot, I guess the person who finished second was Tom Mitchell, who had 25 votes against Dusty, who had 36. But Patrick Dangerfield, even though he's ineligible, was very close. And there was a point, for the majority of the night, Dangerfield was leading. It was only in the last few rounds where Dusty took the lead and ultimately pipped him. Just goes to show how great of a season Dangerfield had. Considering he missed.
If he doesn't miss that game, maybe he's.
I cannot believe that for the whole season nobody at Richmond took votes off Dusty.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's how good of a season he had.
I don't think he was that good. Cotchin had some ripper games. Cotchin had some amazing games.
But Dusty was dominant. And Dusty stands out. So you got to remember, right, it's the umpire's view of the game. So it's how they judge it. And you see a guy in and under doing some really nice things, taking some marks, getting some tackles, great. You got a guy who's busting through packs, kicking goals, stiff-arming people, running down the wing, dominating games. He stands out, right? And that's what the umpires see. That's why I always used to say, that's why Scotty West never won a Brownlow, because the umpire bounced the ball. When they bounce the ball, their head goes down, and by the time they lift their head up, Scotty West already had 5 possessions, and they've missed it all.
But there's more umpires than just the one in the centre square.
Yes, I know, Ashley. Just humour me, okay? But it was a close count. It was exciting from that point of view, in that it was sort of, Dangerfield was polling really well, better than he was thought to of, and who knows, if he doesn't get suspended, maybe he wins. You don't know, who knows? It's hard to sort of say. There was a game late in the year where he had 32 touches, kicked 2 goals, and didn't get a vote.
Yeah, conspiracy.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. But I want to talk. So again, Dusty, great. Congratulations to him. Well deserved. I think everyone thought he would win it, so no surprise there. I want to talk a little bit about a couple of other things that happened during the broadcast of the Brownlow Medal. First thing I want to talk about is mark and goal of the year.
Ugh. Can I have a moment, please? I'm just take over the podcast for a moment.
Be my guest.
You, listeners, listen to me. Bad. You're a very naughty boy/girl. Don't vote poorly ever again. Bad. My God. How did poor Howe and Buddy both miss out on those goddamn awards? Buddy Franklin's goal was one of the best goals in AFL history.
Mm-hmm.
That goal was ridiculous, and he scored 22% of the votes.
Yeah.
He was he was the worst out of the 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I would say, no offense to Daniel Rioli, but his was probably the
worst
choice
of the 3.
out of those.
Oh my, yeah. Of course. So let's catch people up. If you're not aware, so the AFL goal and mark of the year are judged by every week. There's 3 nominations for goal and mark of the year. They're voted on by the fans, and then obviously there's the winner that week. So. And then there's 23 weeks in the year, so there's 23 nominations. Of the 23 nominations, there's a panel of media personalities, former players, etc., and so on, AFL people, who are judged the best 3, and they handpick them. And then it's put back to the public, and the public votes on it. The voting is done through the AFL website, so really it is a vote of who has the most active online fan base, who's going to go on and vote for their player. And that is how Joe Danaher won mark of the year and Daniel Rioli won goal of the year, because they were both, even Brodie Grundy's mark was almost better than Danaher's was a good mark, not taking anything away from him, but Jeremy Howe has taken probably the mark of the decade.
That was a screamer.
That was ridiculous.
He
rode that man
he was airborne, he was off him, he got up and then he
rode him so good that we're gonna vote yes.
Yeah. Gee whiz.
Ashley, We're so lucky Dylan doesn't listen to this goddamn
Wowee.
podcast.
He was up there. I heard someone say on the radio today, he got up so high he nearly caught a flight to Sydney. It was an incredible mark, and not taking away from Joe Danaher. It was a great mark also, but it was not better than Jeremy Howe's mark. And the fact that decision was put into the hands of, put on, I guess, into
It was a popularity
like
contest.
that. It was a popularity contest, and unfortunately, the rightful winners of those awards were not awarded that because the more active online fan bases got on and voted for their guys, and I guess more power to them. Daniel Rioli and Joe Danaher have both got a 10 grand richer, but that was just ridiculous. And probably the only good thing to come out of it was Jeremy Howe's reaction.
That was awesome. Are you kidding?
When it was announced, it was like Leo at the Oscars not getting the award. It was like he just sort of looked at his girlfriend. He's like, "What the hell?
Why does this keep happening?"
That was graceful. But it feels like the broadcast of the Brownlow is getting worse and worse every year, and last night was no exception. There was cringeworthy moments. There was issues with the performance at the start with some X Factor contestant who, I think she might have even been a winner, so she wasn't a loser, but I'm not 100% sure. I have no idea who she was. But there was issues with her audio. There was too many ad breaks. You had players coming up and presenting awards who clearly have no media experience and were stumbling and mumbly and had no charisma. The only saving grace from the night was Daisy Pearce. She was fantastic. She carried that show. Bruce McAvaney, God love him. He's getting creepier and creepier by the year. He was like creepy uncle, and it was so awkward to watch. Like Dusty's like coming up to Dusty, he's like grabbing him and like touching him and like getting up real close to him, like, "Ooh, clever, yes, special, oh Dusty, oh I just want to touch you." And it's like, oh god. And then at one point towards the end, like Dusty's sitting in his seat, and Bruce is like over his shoulder being like, oh Dusty, so you've won it. Oh, what do you think? Oh yes, oh special. Oh. I was like, oh god, Bruce, just calm down. And I guess the one saving grace of that was Dusty Martin himself. Clearly doesn't like the spotlight, doesn't like doing the media stuff. Got up there and said that. It's like, I don't like this, I don't like doing this, I don't like talking to the media. And was just his own person. And it was one of the realest Brownlow Medal acceptance speeches that we've had. He was just like, thanks mum, thanks dad, thanks to my team. It was like, it was like what, not to I don't want to sound patronising or anything, but it was like watching a kid, read a speech at a school awards. It was a real genuine, kid who's just wants to play footy, not a media dude, not up himself. From what you can sort of tell, seemed pretty humble. I thought it was fantastic.
Did he take the stage in a Clash suit?
He did not, no.
Okay. Right. That's fair.
What made last night bearable for me was I had Twitter open with Dane Swan's Twitter feed.
Oh, was that not
because
fantastic?
Because Dane Swan was fantastic last night. He's a funny dude.
Yeah.
He was extremely funny.
Yeah.
He was giving Clayton Oliver crap.
That was fantastic.
Just good on you, Swanee.
Yeah, so God bless Swanee. We need to, we'll have a new award soon, and Swanee will definitely be part of that. He's a treasure. He's an absolute
more positive
treasure.
Award than Flog of the Week.
Absolutely. But no, I thought it was the count itself was exciting. Congratulations to Dusty, well deserved. But they need to do something about the coverage because it's getting worse by the year.
Just let Fox Footy. Just give it to Fox Footy.
I think they would do a much better job.
Say here, Fox Footy, you have it, but
we'll broadcast it.
Give Channel 7 your feed just for this bit. Like, you guys do it the opposite way around to what's being done. Because at the minute, some of the games that are being played, like finals games that were obviously sold to Channel 7, are just the feed is going to Fox Footy, which frustrates me because...
So the only game that doesn't get broadcast live is the grand final on Fox Footy. The rest you can all watch live ad free.
Yeah, that frustrates.
We are not sponsored by Fox Footy, by the way.
Yeah, we're not.
Fox Footy, if you want to sponsor us, Fox Footy, please.
You have your own podcast.
We will sell Foxtel for you.
Give it. Just But they just do so much better coverage. That's the thing that frustrates me every year. I remember last year tuning into the grand final where there's ads after every goal and it makes me cry. It's just no.
Yeah. You almost hope for a low-scoring game so you don't have to watch all the ads. And it's not even good. Like, we don't even get, like... it's not like the Super Bowl,
ads.
like, where you get... where
Wasn't
like,
it-
half the bloody draw of the Super Bowl is people watching the ads. You get just,
Wasn't
like,
it
AMP
a
and hate... go on. Yep, sorry.
Wasn't it a couple of years ago they didn't actually show the grand final in HD? They just showed it on standard because they didn't want to split the ratings. I'm pretty sure that was a thing.
Yeah, that does sound
Was
familiar.
it? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was
And of
listening
course
to...
they're showing HD TV ads during the
Crazy.
So watch the game on a bit.
It was like the time they were like trying to show people like 4K or whatever was new coming out.
They tried to do it
and
in
they
3D.
were like, look,
AFL
look
in
at this.
3D.
It's like,
Yeah, they tried to do it in 3D. It was terrible.
what?
It was absolutely terrible. But, I mean, I love Bruce McAvaney. Don't get me wrong. But he's getting a bit... I don't know, he's getting a bit weird in his old age.
How's your father?
Yeah, so he needs to just... I think he just needs to... Just relax.
Channel
Just
7
take-
needs a new face of AFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Get JB on there. Get bloody James Brayshaw on the telly. He's got a bit of personality. I'd love to see JB back on telly commentating footy.
Hey, if it gets him off the cricket coverage, let's do it.
Well, he's done. He got sacked. He's no longer on cricket.
Oh,
so,
beauty. Beauty, I can watch the cricket this summer. Woohoo!
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's no good listening to the cricket. But I love him as a footy commentator. I think he's fantastic. He's got such great character, which the AFL needs. So BT and JB, they make a really good team. Brian Taylor would be a good host of the Brownlows. He could just do roaming Brian all night.
Just roaming Brian.
Yeah.
He would talk to the most random people.
Yeah.
It would be so good. He'd get to the tables that nobody ever walks to.
Yeah. It's just like the gets to get corporate tickets and stuff. It's like, so who are you? What are you doing here? I'm like,
What are you doing here?
for work? Oh dear. Alrighty. So, I'm throwing over to you, Ashley and Buddy.
Yep.
To take us through a little bit of the week that has been the NRL lead up to the Cowboys Storm Grand Final.
You have 2 minutes, go.
Ash, kick it off.
You're wasting it.
I mean, yeah, it's just a weird. It's the combination nobody thought was going to happen this year. I think it's interesting that there's like very differing stories. Melbourne is the team that were in the grand final last year. They got beaten by the Sharks. They come back. They've got Billy Slater, who's been out for 2 years. They're meant to be the redemption story, but on the other hand, you've got the Cowboys who have come from nowhere. They're missing their captain in Matt Scott, who may or may not play, and then they've lost their star player in Jonathan Thurston, but yet they're somehow in the grand final from 8th.
Crazy. It's almost they're almost the Bulldogs of last year from an AFL perspective.
Yeah, but this
Kind
time
of,
they
except the
won't
Cowboys
win it
have been
though.
Successful.
Yeah, that's thanks. Yep.
It's
Also
bizarre.
on
It's
the
a
show.
it's a bizarre narrative.
On the
First time 8th is versing 1 as well
Yeah.
for NRL in the final series. So
It'd be a
What's
great
been
story.
What's been their previous matchups for the year? Have they played each other for the year, and did Storm just dominate? Or
so they faced off twice. Most recent was round 22. Storm absolutely pumped them. That was in Townsville, and they faced off I think 7 rounds before that. In round 15, and it was 23-22 in Melbourne to the Storm. But the Storm didn't have any of their origin players, and it was like all their young players. They had no Slater, no Smith, no Cronk, and it was like their young
6 out, yeah.
Yeah, and missing all their players, but they still won in extra time. Golden point. With one of their younger players kicking a field goal, Brodie Croft, who got a big rap on. So they've got them twice this year, 2-0, the Storm. But yeah, it could go either. I like to say it could go either way, but I think the Storm will just be too strong.
Yeah.
They should be anyway.
The word is that if the Storm get off to a good start, it's going to be one-way traffic.
Yeah. The Storm played their worst first half of football last week against the Broncos, and then they came back in the second half and flogged them 30-0. So yeah, they can do anything.
They're a special team, the Storm. They've got some fantastic, obviously, Cam Smith, Billy Slater. What's going to happen with Cooper Cronk? Is he going to go on? Is he going to go to Sydney next year, or do you think this will be his last game?
Last
I
game.
don't know. You think
Because
so?
there's not been any talk about it. There's not been any talk
Yeah.
about it since earlier in the year,
just-
and you'd think that somebody would have popped up. Considering NRL, they're normally pretty open with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just going to be salary cap issues. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know if
'cause he's-
anybody will be able to fit him in
Yeah,
unless
Yeah.
he takes a significant paycheck cut.
because he's $1 million player, isn't he? He's
Yeah.
not, you know.
And
he's
Cooper
not
Cronk's
a-
not the
He
type
won the
of player.
Dally M last year. I mean,
Cooper Cronk's not the
Daily
type of
M.
player that wants to play for another club either. I can see him wanting to go down in history as a one-club player,
one
having
club,
this legacy with the Melbourne Storm, not wanting to play against
Yeah.
the Storm as well. He's very articulate and quite intelligent when it comes to football and analysts. I can't even say.
Analytics?
Sorry. Excuse me. Excuse my
Analysis.
Analysis. There we go. So
Analysis.
he pops up on Fox Sports, every weekend doing Saturday games and stuff. So he's going to just slot right into like one of those positions, and he obviously wants to move to Sydney, to be with his fiance who works for Fox Sports. So I can't see him playing
fair
or
enough.
going overseas at all.
Fair enough.
Slater, on the other hand, he'll go on.
Yeah,
he'll go on.
yeah, he's
Later.
got a couple of years left in him at least.
Blader.
Stop it. I got to ask, why do all the do the Queenslanders hate the Storm as much as the Sydney siders do?
Storm, my second favourite
No,
team.
Sydney-
I love the Storm.
The Sydney
Storm
people
is like the
hate
fourth
Storm.
Queensland team.
Oh, good.
I'm going to
Storm
disagree.
is like they're probably the third. They're like a step above the Titans. They're probably the third choice.
I'm going to disagree with you, Ash.
All Queensland final.
Storm are the second Queensland team. Let's not be.
Okay.
They're the second Queensland team. They were more of a Queensland team before the Cowboys were. Okay, the Cowboys are only hitting their stride now. So,
Well, I guess this weekend we'll decide what's the second best
well,
Queensland team.
that's right. Yeah, good on
no
them.
doubt. No
Wouldn't they
doubt.
be the first best Queensland team because they'd be better than
No,
the-
don't know what you're talking about.
Nah.
I love how much the Sydney people hate the Storm.
Yeah,
like it
stupid.
makes me want to follow rugby. Follow league because it's they just hate it. They just hate us, and it makes me happy. One of the the Storm have been so successful over such a long period of time.
Obviously, yeah, it's tough with the Storm because obviously the salary
the
cap
salary
holding
cap,
has
yeah,
sort of
yeah, of
tarnished their reputation, but they've been the best team this millennium. I mean, easily most consistent.
I was crushed when those premierships were taken away from them because they've been, like you said, they've been such a good team. Just because they fit an extra player and their salary cap kept Greg Inglis. It didn't make them play. I don't think it made them play better. It's not like
How
the
many
Sharks.
was it 3 flags that got taken off them?
Two.
2.
07 and
That'd be
09.
heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Because they lost
09.
one to the Broncos.
Yeah, and then they played a whole season not playing for points as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did they take the 2 off them and give them back to the people they were playing?
No,
with,
it's
or
just
No.
an asterisk.
Because they didn't win those games because they weren't good enough to win. Parramatta fans cry about it all the
Fair enough, I
time.
think.
which is fair.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like performance enhancing drugs like the Sharks or Essendon or even though they didn't know these things were happening. That's not like that kind of scenario. So
Yeah, no doubt. Very good.
Buddy, what are your thoughts on the Matt Scott sort of extended bench selection?
awesome shock selection from last week, which is something they pulled. So they can name 20 for Jack and Kieran. They can name 21 players on the Tuesday. Only players from that nominated 21 can play on the weekend when they cut it down to the 17. So last week they named Matt Scott, who's only played 2 games all year before he did his ACL, and was expected not to come back at all. They named him last week and said, providing someone goes down, he could possibly play in this prelim.
Right. Unreal.
And he's been named again this week as well. So there's a few Cowboys that kind of have niggling injuries, especially in the forwards, which is where kind of Matt Scott plays. So Paul Green said he will not be selected, but if someone does go down this week in the forwards, like he's a chance. So I think it'd be an awesome story if he gets a run. It'll be something that'll kind of never be.
Especially if it depends on how effective he is. I think will be how the story plays out. Because
That's right.
He's got like no match fitness.
No, he'd be terrible. But he could go on to emulate
so-
the Sam Burgess, playing with a broken cheekbone from the first tackle, or the John Sattler broken jaw, or similar stories to that. If he gets a run and is able to perform, but I think it's a good selection. It's a good story. It won't eventuate, I don't think. I think everyone's kind of fit. And even if they do have a niggle, you're going to pick them over Matt Scott, who you said has got no match fitness at all. So,
Yeah, you wouldn't want to take a guy underdone like that into a grand final, I wouldn't think.
Be a massive coaching decision anyway. Biggest of Paul Green's career.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, guys. So, who are all of our tips? We'll start with the NRL. I'm guessing we're all Storm across the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, I've got Melbourne Storm. I'm going to go 1 to 12. I'm going to go first try scorer Vunivalu, and I'm going to go Churchill medal, which is the same as the Norm Proven medal. Norm Smith. Norm Smith, not Norm Proven. And I'm going to go. I reckon Billy Slater, redemption story.
Yeah.
Silly Blighter.
No, mate.
Oh, dear. Ash?
Yeah, my head says the Storm, but I would love for the Cowboys to win.
Yeah.
I think first try scorer, Billy Slater, I think. And then Norm Smith medalist is... No, you've thrown me off. Clive Churchill medalist is Cooper Cronk, his last game.
Cooper Cronk. Last game.
Cool.
Would be fitting. Great send-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also Storm. I also think Billy Slater. And I'm going to go Cam Smith for the trifecta. Kieran?
If you all want to join me on 3, 2, 1, there's a hurricane coming through.
Oh,
Where were you guys at? You let me down.
Sorry. We got lost in the feed.
Sorry about that.
Okay, fair enough.
There's some
technical
static feedback.
difficulties.
Yeah.
We have technical difficulties here.
Solar flare and
It's completely normal. The boys would normally back me up, so it's fine. The Cowboys are going to win.
Oh, no.
The Cowboys have invented guns that can shoot weather patterns.
Oh, dear. What are they going to just shoot sunny weather? Is that what's happening?
Twist.
What a twist. Oh, dear. Oh, my dear. Oh, boy, wowee. Boy, oh, boy.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to say I'm going to say Billy Slater is your answer for both of questions.
Billy Slater confirmed.
Silly Blater.
Okay. On to the AFL Grand Final. Ashley, your tips? Winner, first goal scorer, and Norm Smith?
I think Adelaide's going to win. Nick Riewoldt... no. Jack Riewoldt to score the first goal, and Norm Smith, Eddie Betts, who kicks at least 4.
Interesting. Buddy?
I'm going to go Adelaide 24.5 plus. I'm going to go first goal scorer, probably, I think Betts. I think Adelaide will just go and get onto a great start and just go over the top of them. I don't think Richmond will ever be in the game, to be honest. And for the Norm Smith medal, I don't know really any of the players, but I'm probably going to pick an Adelaide midfielder that's just going to feed the forward line, that are just going to dominate all day. So take any one of those that's going to dominate in disposals and whatever else you call them.
We'll put you down for Rory Sloane.
Yeah, there we go. Put him in.
Lock him in. Sloane. Kieran.
Okay, so the tiger can't fly, so a crow will definitely win, because there's no way the tiger catches the crow. No, Adelaide Crows for the win. First goal is going to be by the up-and-coming superstar Charlie Cameron. I reckon Norm Smith. I don't know. Is he playing? Is Jeremy McGovern still out?
Mitch McGovern.
Oh,
who's
Mitch.
the player.
Jeremy's here.
We've been terrible with names this week.
He's a 50-50 to get up. Yeah.
If McGovern plays, I'm going to say McGovern. If not, I'm going to go with Tex. Just because it's a bit different.
Okay. I'm tipping the Tigers.
Ooh.
By 4 points.
Ooh.
First goal scorer will be Daniel Rioli. And I think Trent Cotchin will win the Norm Smith after his week that he's had. I think he's going to tear the game apart.
I just don't see... The way Tigers have played the last couple of weeks, I just do not see how they can keep up with how Adelaide plays at the start of the game. They're
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a tight first half, and then it's going to open up in the second half and become a bit more free flowing, free scoring, which I think will suit Richmond. Because if they can keep it tight in the first half and don't let Adelaide get to a good start, then they'll have every chance to match them for the scoring in the second half once the players start to tire and the game opens up a little bit. So I think the Tigers, they're just going to have the spirit. I think they're just going to have the spirit. But either team would be more than worthy of winning.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully. I cannot wait.
Hopefully, after this final series, you hope this is a close one.
It's been a shocking final series. It has been absolutely shocking. Just as far as results go, like we've had one game under 6 goals. Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Just a whisper. I don't think it's going to be a good game. I have this sickening feeling that it's just going to be an Adelaide.
Oh God, I hope not.
I have this disgusting feeling Adelaide's just going to come out and boot like 7 goals in the first quarter.
Well, when you got an anthem stare down like that, of course.
We do not need nor want that to happen. Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, so do I. I kind of want that stadium of Richmond supporters to shut up.
Oh dear. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for your favourite segment of the week. It's Flog of the Week.
Flog of the Week. Boom.
So, our nominations for this week are... First nominations. This is a dual nomination going to Toby Green and John Patton for the blunderous act. John Patton on the weekend taking a mark on the stroke of quarter time and handballing over the top to Toby Green. Had a chance to put them in front leading into quarter time and they completely fluffed it up. Why you wouldn't just go back when you're 30 metres out and have a shot is beyond me. So, gentlemen, you are the first nomination for Flog of the Week. Our second nomination for Flog of the Week goes to Barry Hall. Big, bad, bustling Barry Hall for belting some bloke. Big, bad Barry Hall belted some bloke on the weekend. Now, there was a bit of a hullabaloo about this. Apparently, the team he was saying earlier in the week that the team that he was playing in Queensland... The QFAL. He were going to be... they were going to try and target him and try and get him to get sent off and stuff like that. Anyway, his team got flogged in the end. But he's gone back to his old ways and he's decked this bloke twice in the space of a minute. So, Barry, for your thuggery ways, we know you're better than that, mate. You don't need to be belting blokes on the footy field anymore. You receive your first nomination for Flog of the Week. The match review panel for being flip-floppers. I don't think we need to go into that anymore. You receive a nomination for Flog of the Week. The general public for not getting up and voting for the rightful winners of Mark and Goal of the Year. General public, you are nominated for Flog of the Week. It's a stacked Flog of the Week this week.
That's you.
And we have a presidential nomination for Flog of the Week. Mr. Donald Trump, for your antics concerning the players of all sports in your country not wanting people to come to your... He's just... I mean, I can't even... He's like... I mean, I just don't understand. Like, how? Like, how is this guy president? It doesn't even make any sense.
We at the Grandstand Gurus take a knee.
Oh, goodness.
Yep. I've been taking a knee all episp.
I'm sitting down as we speak.
Anyway, I don't think we need to... We're not going to deep dive into that. We'll save that for another day. But, Mr. Trump, congratulations on your first nomination. But the winner, there could only be one.
Did you miss one, or is that
What, did I miss one? Have you got a late 11th hour?
Yeah, Buddy.
Oh, Buddy Watson. I'm gonna let Buddy off on this one.
Wow, he got pardoned.
Everyone gets one.
Wow.
Everyone gets
Doesn't watch AFL pardon.
You guys had many chances before I flogged you. There can only be one. In fact, this week there is two. The winner of Flog of the Week this week goes to Toby Green and John Patton. Disclaimer, any opportunity I get to flog Toby Green will be taken. So congratulations,
There are a lot of
Toby Green.
jeez.
there are a lot of females in
Jonathan
Greater Western
Patton.
Sydney that feel that
It's
way
good
as
to
well.
know that this award's got the same integrity as the match review panel.
This is a prestigious award.
Amen, Ashley. Amen.
This is a prestigious award, and I will not have its integrity called into question, Mr. Ashley Hobley. Let's not forget you two have been dual winners of Flog of the Week before.
We could take Patton and Green. We could take them
So I'm etching it into the shield now. Toby Green,
into the shield.
John Patton.
Flog of the
Congratulations.
year we
budget.
Where's the budget for the shield coming from?
All of our revenue
Flog of the year
is
we
going
presented on
towards this,
Saturday.
Are we sending that to them, or is it?
We'll tweet it at them, and then we'll put it in the studio when we get a studio. Until then, I don't know where it will stay. But anyway, congratulations, Toby, John, for your Flog of the Week win. This week, all right, guys. I mean, I'd ask, but I think I know what we're all looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Intrust Super Cup Grand Final where Papua New Guinea face Penrith Panthers.
That is going to be interesting. Yeah.
It will be.
Oh dear. I think, silly question, but yeah, I think we're all looking forward to some awesome grand finals. Hopefully they're good games. There's not really much else we can say that we already haven't said before, but
Wait, there's one thing we haven't discussed. Which is going to have the better pre-match entertainment? The AFL or the NRL? AFL?
The AFL's got the killers.
AFL have the killers.
It's got the
NRL has
killers.
Macklemore.
Macklemore!
is this going to be? Is this going to be like?
You guys have Macklemore?
Yeah.
It's going to be Macklemore.
Is this
for
going to be
sure.
like back in the day where they say they have Macklemore? It's really just like when they said they had Slash, but it was really just like a hologram of half the people, and he wasn't really there or something. What happened
don't
back
know.
in the day with
As-
Slash?
Yeah, it's like
As long as
It's
it's
like
not
when AFL
another Billy Idol situation.
Hey,
It's like that year AFL,
Meatloaf again. We're good.
Oh dear, let's not remind us of Meatloaf.
Sting last year said something reportedly that he never got told about the Meatloaf situation until a minute before he went on the ground.
Sting was great last year.
Sting was fantastic. Apparently,
Tell you what.
just before he went on ground, he was like, "Don't Meatloaf this."
Last year's
What does that
entertainment
mean?
was awesome. We had we had Meatloaf play the grand final a few years back, and it was horrendous.
It was
2010,
disgusting.
wasn't it? Jeez, that's a while ago. It was when Collingwood won, or was it? No, sorry, it was 2011 when Geelong
It was
won.
like 2012. wasn't
No, it was 2011 when Geelong won. I remember where I was when that happened. Because I remember being like, I remember
Like
being
one of those moments.
Yeah, it was. It was like it's like
so
the moon
important.
Where
landing.
were you when Meatloaf sang?
It's like the moon landing. You remember exactly where you were. Because I remember being at my mum and dad's house, and mum's a massive Meatloaf fan, and we're getting up there, and I remember being like, yeah, because I like Meatloaf as well, and being like, and I remember looking at my dad and going, is this me or is this bad? Does he sound really, really bad? Because you're sort of like, yeah, Meatloaf, yeah, I love Meatloaf, and then you're like, it's kind of like the Phantom Menace effect. You're like, yay, wait a minute, that's not quite right.
Misa, a bat out of hell.
Mr. Banana. Oh no. No, last
It's
year
not
was
as bad as
awesome.
Billy Idol. Billy Idol came out on a hovercraft.
Oh god.
That's really cool.
Went on stage and then they lost power.
Oh no. Who was it back in the day? Was it was it Angry Anderson who did the AFL Grand Final back in the day with the Batmobile?
Batman, yeah.
Oh god, that was horrible. But no, last year's was really good. We had the Living End. Living End are awesome. Like they're one of the best live bands. Period. Sting was sweet. Was awesome. Who was and the other guy? Was really cool. The did the baby running down to the riptide. What's his
Vance
name?
Joy.
Vance Joy.
Vance Joy. He was sick. I love that guy. He was awesome. Living End was
Did
sweet.
you get him like some cough medicine or something if he was sick, or did he just keep singing?
No, I think he pushed through. He was very.
He pushed through.
Yeah, he did well.
Good on
Yeah.
him. Good on him.
Yeah, he did well. I was proud of him.
Played a good show while sick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us on a jam-packed grand final edition of Grandstand Gurus. This is a product of the Explosion Network. You can find all of our content over at www.explosionnetwork.com. ashleyhobley.com. You can follow us all on Twitter. Ashley is at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. Kieran is at your boy Ringo, and Buddy is at Buddy Watson 12. I am at Kruse_mate, and you can follow the Explosion Network at Explosion Pod. Have a very safe weekend. Make sure you drive safe. No drinking, no driving. You can drive and drink, but don't do them at the same time. Make sure that there's
drinking before the driving.
Or don't drink.
Yeah, like you can drive to where you've got to go and then drink.
Just follow the laws.
But
Drink Coke.
But don't
Drink
drive after being drunk.
Drink and
don't
walk.
Do that.
Drink
and
Coke,
walk.
no sugar.
Get an Uber. Get an Uber if you need to go somewhere on Grand Final weekend. There'll be plenty of those around.
It's probably gonna be super expensive.
Yeah, they will be. Enjoy the games. We look forward to wrapping these up next week. Hopefully, if your team's playing, I hope they get up for you. If they're not playing, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Remember, like, subscribe, share us with your friends and with your mother. Until next time, plat, plat! Keep on grandstanding.
Friendly neighbourhood ad read Dylan here. On November 4th, the Explosion Network will be taking part in Extra Life, playing and streaming 24 hours of games to raise money for the Sick Kids International Hospital in Toronto. The crew will be together under one roof doing ridiculous challenges each time we hit a fundraising milestone, and it's all for the kids. So come help out. Head over to explosionnetwork.com/extralife for all the details, times, and suggest any challenges, goals, or games you'd like to see us play. Watch our Extra Life video. It's up on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Share it on your own social media. Don't forget to hit that like button and get the word around so we can help raise some good dollars and see us do some ridiculous stuff. Don't forget our weekly podcasts. Pleasure Explosion on Monday, Platinum Explosion on Tuesdays, and Grandstand Gurus goes up every Thursday, and they all go live at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Plat plat.
Finally, the Gurus have come back to podcasting. Can you smell what the Gurus are cooking? Wait, the Gurus say, is cooking.
Oh, dearie me. Wow. I mean, thank you.
Yeah.